Hi there, my name's Dom and I'm the senior instructor at Archer's Blue Car Driving School. Today we are going to discuss how to steer the car, and most notably we'll discuss on how to use the Hanover hand steering technique. So a few things to know about your steering wheel. First of all, on most modern cars nowadays the steering wheel is adjustable. Usually on the side of the steering wheel there is a small lever where we can adjust the steering wheel up and down, and some steering wheel we can actually pull closer or further from our bodies. Here in the province of Alberta, they recommend that you hold the steering wheel at the 9 and 3 o'clock position. Some jurisdictions recommend the 10 and 2 o'clock position, which here in Alberta is acceptable. However, the recommended method is the 9 and 3 o'clock position. The reason behind this is if we get into a collision and the airbag deploys. First of all, if the airbag deploys, it's not a nice poofy cushion that just comes out where you take a nap and whatnot. It's hard, it's violent, it's boom, getting punched in the face super hard. So if your hands are at the 9 and 3 o'clock position, your hands will go sideways. But if your hands are at the 10 and 2 o'clock position, then they will go straight back and possibly hit you in the face, making any injuries worse. That's why we prefer to hold the steering wheel at the 9 and 3 o'clock position. And again, this is for the jurisdiction of the province of Alberta in Canada. If you are in a different jurisdiction or different country, check with rules and regulations applicable to where you are at. To do the Hanover hand steering technique, what we want to do is, again, we want to keep our hands 180 degrees apart. So if we're doing a right turn, what's going to happen is the right hand is going to go to the 6 o'clock position while the left hand is going to the 12 o'clock position. And once the right hand's at the 6 o'clock, then it's going to go up and around while the left hand is continuing like this. So if we were to do it in one fluid motion, it would look something like this. So it's pretty simple. However, it does require a little bit of coordination. If you need to practice this and you don't quite have the coordination, a good way to practice it is to do just one hand at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the right hand. We're going to put the left hand on our lap, and with the right hand we're just going to practice going from at first to 9 o'clock to the 6 o'clock, back on top to the 12 o'clock. That's all we're going to do. So basically a half circle from the 12 to the 6 o'clock going back on top. Really important that when we go back that we don't use a underhand grip. We don't want to do that. On here in Alberta, on your road test, you could actually lose points for having a underhand grip. Always overhand. So again, we're going to go from the 12 to the 6 and back on top. And that's all what the right hand is going to do. Now with your left hand, what you're going to do, and again we're going to switch, so right hand onto lap, left hand at the steering wheel at the 9. So we're basically going to grasp the steering wheel, we're going to turn it until we reach the 3 o'clock position, then we're going to open our fingers and just slide and palm the steering wheel to continue to turn, and once we are back at the 9 o'clock position, we're going to grasp the steering wheel again. So again, like this, open, close, and continue. So when we're doing a right turn, the left hand is always in contact with the steering wheel, okay? If we're doing a left turn, basically the opposite. So the left hand is just gonna go to the 6 o'clock position and back to the 12, like so. And the right hand is gonna just follow, keeping its hand close against the wheel, open up, palm, close the hand again onto the steering wheel, and continue like this. So when you take both hands, now I'll just demonstrate the right turn. So it's going to look something like this. So you want to try and keep your hands approximately 180 degrees apart, like so. If you're turning left, then you just do the opposite. Now notice that I'm not actually turning the steering wheel. So one thing that we want to avoid to do is called dry steering. Dry steering is when you are turning the steering wheel but the car is not in motion. Really bad for your steering components and your tires, so avoid doing so when you can. So if you're just practicing this at first and you're not moving the car, again, do not turn the steering wheel. Just practice sliding your hands against the wheel without actually turning it. Okay, and now we're actually going to go and drive a little bit and demonstrate how the hand-over hand steering technique works and how to recover from the hand-over hand steering technique. Okay, so now I'm going to start driving. So when I go first, I don't want to just yank onto the wheel. I just want to move forward very slowly, turning the wheel about a full rotation, maybe a little bit more. Avoid the car that's parked in front of me and just help it along back. So see, I'm just keeping a nice fluent motion of the steering wheel. So up here I'm going to be coming to a place where I'm going to be turning right, so I need to get close to the corner. So I'm just going to do a mirror check and shoulder check, make sure I'm clear. So I'm going to move over, I'm going to check the intersection, make sure I'm clear. Now I'm going to turn using hand over hand. So once I get a good tight turning radius, I keep it, and to recover as I'm gradually accelerating, I'm just going to let the steering wheel go and slide in between my fingers. I'm not taking my hands off, I'm just letting the steering wheel slide in between my fingers. And again, so turning right, mirror check, shoulder check, we're clear, and I'm going to turn, hold, and then let the steering wheel recover. And letting the steering wheel recover is by far the most efficient way of recovering from your turn. It's way smoother, because here I'll demonstrate what happens if you try and recover yourself. So sometimes you might be a little bit jerky and give it a little bit too much of a turn. That's no good. When you recover, if you let the wheel slide in between your fingers, way smoother. The car should be able to do approximately 90% of the work, and you should just have about 10% for readjustment. So again, hand over hand, turn around this corner, hold your radius, and let it slide to recover, just like this. And sometimes you might have to hold the steering wheel back a little bit. That's normal. Again, you have to, at the end, if you have to do a little bit of readjustment, not a big deal. So that is for right turns. So now I'm going to start demonstrating left turns. So it's pretty much basically the same thing. Again, hand over hand. So you're going to signal, you're going to check for pedestrians and whatnot, turn hand over hand, all your turn radius, and recover it as you're going along. So when you're practicing this, I'll tell you right now, doing left turn is actually easier than doing right turns. Because right turns you have to be a little bit quicker onto wheel than a left turn, and with a left turn you always have a little bit more room so that you can readjust during your turn if your tight radius, if your turn radius is either too tight or too loose. So again, and again, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm approaching, I'm going to start turning with the road, hold my turn radius, recover by letting the wheel slide in between my fingers, and that's pretty much it for left turn. When you're driving along the road, you just want to do minor adjustment with the steering wheel as you are going. You never want to be too abrupt with the steering wheel, because then your car's going to be going a little bit all over the place. So nice and smooth adjustments as you're doing, and they're just, again, micro adjustment. The only time when you want to be abrupt with the steering wheel is if you are doing evasive actions. For example, avoiding potential pedestrians, maybe big potholes and whatnot. Then you can go harshly to get around the obstacle, but most of the time just minor corrections are more than sufficient to keep the car going nice and straight down the road. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please call us or text us at 587-990-2583 or email us at office@archersbluecar.ca.